Welcome back to Cali Hood Historian. In this episode, we're diving into the story of 4 Extra, born in 1988 and raised in South Central Los Angeles. 4 Extra grew up deep in the heart of Rolling 40's neighborhood Crips turf. The Rolling 40s are a Crip gang based on the west side of South Central, established over 40 years ago. Over time, they built a strong reputation and engaged in numerous gang wars, Blood and Crip rivalries. The 40s have long-standing rivalries with several Blood and Crip sets. They've beefed with Blood gangs like the 20 Bloods, BPS, Black P Stones, and the Brims. On the Crip side, they've clashed with various gangster Crip sets like the 51 Troubles, 52 Broadway Gangster Crips, and others. Notably, they've also had conflict with the Hoover Crips. Despite the Hoovers technically being part of both the Hoover and gangster alliances, this overlap often puts them at odds with others, including the 40s. The Rolling 40s fall under the neighborhood Crip umbrella and are also affiliated with the Rollin Alliance, which stretches from the 30s all the way to the 100s. That means they're connected with a wide network of gangs under those sets. In the past, the 40s even went to war with other Crip sets they were once allied with, most notably the Rollin 30s and Rollin 60s. At one point, those beefs got serious and deadly. However, over time, tensions eased, and the 40s have since rekindled their alliances with both sets. Within the Rolling 40s, there are 4 main cliques: the Avenues, Parkside, Western Side, and Dark Side. Dark Side was originally Hoover Crip turf, but over time, it became part of the Rolling 40s territory. For 4 Extra, the street life wasn't just around him. It was him. Growing up, most of his family were from the 40s. That's all he saw when he stepped outside. So naturally, he jumped off the porch early. He idolized his older cousins who were already active in the gang, and being around them constantly led him to follow in their footsteps. By the age of 11, he got officially put on the set, meaning he had to prove himself in the traditional way, going through 4 fades and a pack out with older teenagers between 15 and 17 years old. From that point forward, he was part of the Dark Side clique. "I was born and raised in the hood, right around Western," he once said. "I grew up in the 40s, always running around with my cousins. That's just how it was growing up in the ghetto. I got put on at 11. When his parents found out he had joined the gang, mainly after seeing his tattoo, they were disappointed and shocked. But at the same time, they understood the reality of the neighborhood and the era they were living in. His parents weren't street people. They encouraged education and hard work. His dad had even served in the army. But 4 Extra took a completely different path. That path turned dark quickly. Murder at 12. By the time he was 12, 4 Extra was arrested for attempted murder. He was sent to youth authority, where he spent 4 years locked up. He got out at 16, but his time behind bars didn't stop the cycle. Just a few months later, he was arrested again on a gun charge and sentenced to 9 months in juvenile camp. While in camp, 4 Extra was constantly fighting and running into enemies. The gang life followed him wherever he went. When he was finally released at 17, he hit the streets again and quickly went back to doing whatever it took to survive, robbing, hitting licks, and hustling for money. It was a dangerous cycle that would define the next chapter of his life. After getting arrested for a robbery at age 18, 4 Extra hit LA County Jail for the first time. And anyone who knows LA County is one of the most notorious jails in the country. Gang politics, brutal fights, and survival of the fittest energy all come with the territory. Soon after, 4 Extra was sentenced to 6 years in prison. While locked up, he witnessed it all: riots, stabbings, people losing their lives, and constant altercations. He ended up serving 4 years out of 6 and was released back onto the streets. After his release, he tried to switch gears, focus on making money, starting legit businesses, and repping for his hood in a positive way. But the streets have a strong pull, and it didn't take long before he found himself back behind bars on new charges. During that time, things escalated. 4 Extra picked up an additional charge of stabbing one of his own homies, a fellow gang member who had been exposed as no good, disloyal, or violating code. That incident added almost 2 more years to his sentence. Determined not to waste his time, 4 Extra made a shift in mindset while locked up. He started reading, educating himself, and even began writing his own book. In total, He did nearly 10 years in the pen. In 2023, For Extra was finally released and wasted no time making a splash. He quickly caught traction on social media, sharing his story, mindset, and evolution. His following started to grow fast. Drinks with Jinx. But what really made For Extra go viral was his interview on the podcast, Drinks with Jinx. Shout out to that platform. In that interview, For Extra opened up about a lot, but one of the standout moments was when he talked about fighting well-known 107 Hoover rapper J5. You fought one of those famous rappers, right? Yeah, Jay from Hoover. You know what I'm talking about. Young kid, man. Yeah, he got hands, but I got mine too. J5, who's built a rep as both a rapper and a fighter with boxing skills, responded to the story, claiming he had already run multiple fades that day and was tired by the time he fought For Extra, saying that's why he lost. But For Extra wasn't having it. He doubled down in a separate interview on Cam Capone News, calling the excuse cap and saying, "Everybody know my MO, from the streets to the jail system." I told him I booked him, straight up. I guess his step pops tried to defend him, but he's just going off what his stepson told him. I had to clear the air and tell the truth. Recently, For Extra's been on the grind, promoting his book, doing multiple interviews with platforms like No Jumper, Cam Capone, and others. He's also been pushing himself as a content creator and influencer on Instagram, using his past to build a new future. And with that, we wrap up this episode. Stay tuned for more stories like this, real, raw, and unfiltered. The Crips are a primarily African-American alliance of street gangs that are based in the coastal regions of Southern California. Founded in Los Angeles, California, in 1969, mainly by Raymond Washington and Stanley Williams, the Crips began as an alliance between two autonomous gangs and developed into a loosely connected network of individual sets, often engaged in open warfare with one another. Its members have traditionally worn blue clothing since around 1973. The Crips are one of the largest and most violent associations of street gangs in the United States, with an estimated 30,000 to 35,000 members in 2008. The gang's members have been involved in murders, robberies, and drug dealing, among other crimes. They have a long and bitter rivalry with the Bloods. Some self-identified Crips have been convicted of federal racketeering. As with most criminal street gangs, Crips have benefited monetarily from illicit activities such as illegal gambling, drug dealing, pimping, larceny, and robbery. Crips also profit from extorting local drug dealers who are not members of the gang. Along with profitable rackets such as these, they also participate in vandalism and property crime, often for gang pride reasons or simply enjoyment. This can include public graffiti, tagging, and joyriding in stolen vehicles. The gang's current primary source of income is street-level drug distribution. However, many Crip members also make notable amounts of funds from the black market sale of illicit firearms. The gang's size and power was greatly augmented by the profits from the street sale of crack cocaine throughout the 1980s. The gang's initial phase of growth and popularity was due to the explosion of crack cocaine in the United States during the 1980s. The Crips became popular throughout southern Los Angeles as more youth gangs joined. At one point, they outnumbered non-Crip gangs by 3 to 1, sparking disputes with non-Crip gangs, including the LA Brims, Athens Park Boys, the Bishops, the Drill Company, and the Denver Lanes. By 1971, the gang's notoriety had spread across Los Angeles. By 1971, a gang on Piru Street in Compton, California, known as the Piru Street Boys, formed and associated itself with the Crips as a set. After 2 years of peace, a feud began between the Pirates and the other Crip sets. It later turned violent as gang warfare ensued between former allies. This battle continued, and by 1973, the Pirates wanted to end the violence and called a meeting with other gangs targeted by the Crips. After a long discussion, the Pirates broke all connections to the Crips and started an organization that would later be called the Bloods, a street gang infamous for its rivalry with the Crips.